Joining me now, Morgan State University professor Jason Johnson, politics editor at The Root, and McCay Coppins, senior political writer at BuzzFeed News. I got to start, well, let me start here, Jason. I want to play this bit of President Obama talking to Reverend Al Sharpton about this moment, actually about inauguration, but the possibility of this moment. Take a listen.
Right. I mean, can you imagine how you would feel standing on the steps of the Capitol, having to hand over the power and watch him put his hand on that Bible and become your successor after saying you weren't even a U.S. citizen?
You know, the thing is, I don't take any of this personally because he is not somebody who's fit to be president in any circumstances. I would feel deeply frustrated, not because of anything he said about me, but because I would fear for the future of our country.
There's something about that image, about the first black president sitting and shaking the hand of a man who launched his political career demanding his papers.
Yes, demanding his papers, his identity papers, his freedom papers, his college degree, and the idea that President Obama will have to hand off to this person is not only disturbing, it is a heartfelt concern for many, many, many millions of Americans. And I'll also say this, I really believe that conversation was a lot more contentious than Donald Trump wants to admit, because I'm sure President Obama said to him, you know what, you can say whatever you want to me, but if you run this country with the way you ran this campaign, it'll fall apart around your ears. Pretty sure he told him.
That is interesting to be a fly on the wall there. The idea of the dog that caught the car, which is part of the idea here around the Trump folks. You've been around that inner circle. I mean, no one's ready to be president of the United States. No one's ready to staff a White House. But in just an objective historical resume sense, there's never been anyone less prepared.
Less qualified, less prepared, who's put less thought into it, frankly. I think that more than anything is what I find disconcerting, talking to people in his inner circle. I mean, look, there are people in the Republican establishment who got on the Trump train, and those people have some basic idea, some idea of how the federal government functions. Those are not the people in Trump's immediate inner circle. And the people who ran his campaign, I mean, look, we were saying off the air that I was getting emails and notes from people in Trump's campaign in the final days of the race who were trying to make nice with me and you know, repair any damaged relationships, because they thought that this campaign was over, that they thought that after November 8th we would have to be working together again. And so now that they find themselves in this situation where they are now counseling the president-elect of the United States, I mean, I think a lot of them probably are stunned, and they're trying to feel their way through it right now.
Key point here, which I think it bears repeating. People talk about no one saw this coming, and people were caught unawares, and the elite liberal bubble, or et cetera. That includes the Trump campaign. Yeah. Let's just be very clear. They are included in that.
The RNC's own internal numbers showed him losing.
Yes. Right. Yeah. So let's just be clear when we talk about. Yeah. I want to follow up on something you said, but I also don't want to ignore the part of the split screen we showed. We showed President, and at one level we talk about the sort of the normal transfer of power, and in some ways there are certain ways that's important, normal, because those are part of the civic bulwark. Those stories that we're seeing, they're now people post things on Facebook, and we as a journalistic enterprise have to make sure that's vetted and true. And there's one case in Louisiana of a woman making something up, so that but it is clear that there are outbreaks of hate crime and hate speech being directed at people connected to the word Trump, very specifically. And there are a lot of people in this country that feel like a target.
Yeah. They feel like targets for good reason. This was happening beforehand. Yeah. We had it happen down at Emory. It's happened in college campuses across the country. I have a colleague in Silver Spring, Maryland, who woke up the next morning to see a watermelon had been smashed and smeared on the hood of her car. That's Maryland. That's right outside of D.C.
This is a colleague of yours the morning after the election?
Yes, a colleague of mine the morning after the election. So this isn't being made up. I'm getting text messages from my students saying, should I marry my partner now, because are they going to make gay marriage illegal? And the thing is, this is part of the peaceful transition. See, it's not just a matter of Obama handing over the job. Donald Trump has an obligation to this country to tell the Klan and his followers, hey guys, play play fair because we can't run this country if you're attacking half the population.
That is such an important point because, look, there's this whole question of normalizing Donald Trump's behavior on the campaign trail. It shouldn't be normalized. I do think that what President Obama said is true, which is the way our democracy functions is that somebody has been democratically elected. The election wasn't rigged. It was a free and fair election. He has to be ushered into the government without anyone stopping him. But that said, it is not on the Democrats to stop this behavior. It's not on President Obama to stop this. Trump is the president-elect. It is on him to now try to be a unifying force in this country. It is on the Republican Party, the party that got him elected, to now make this is their problem.
Donald Trump, there's a lot Donald Trump can do. Donald Trump could invite the con people.
Yes.
Donald Trump could make a speech in which he says to every Nazi and KKK member and bigot, I do not want your support.
Yes.
I condemn what you do. This country condemns what you do. And you are not part of our political coalition. He could give that speech. All of that is a doable thing for the man.
And I hope he does.
And I hope he does.
And this is the thing. Root for him to do those things, right?
I want one more thing about the news today, about when we're talking about this, what's unprecedented. The Trump's kids to run business via blind trust, Trump attorney says, which itself is a contradiction. If your kids are running it, it's not a blind trust.
Yeah.
This is something that we paid some attention to on this show with the reporting. Completely, I think, unprecedented and underappreciated. People complain about the Clinton Foundation being essentially a slush fund to buy access. The president's children will be running a business that is not a public business that could take investments, loans, deals, and partnerships around the world with anyone who wants to get into the graces of the American president.
Talk about an organization, a way for somebody to curry favor with the president. There is a company being run by his children that can take money without ever disclosing.
From banks that he regulates. You know, if this was Uday and Qusay Hussein, we would be saying this is a horrible dictatorship. But that's essentially what we have happening. You're going to have the family of the president of the United States being an indirect pathway, not only to his power, but also ways for him to hide things that he's engaging in. And by the way, we've never seen his taxes, so we don't know how his country we don't know how his company actually operates.
But I think this just reinforces the point. There has been a lot of self-flagellation in the media, which is absolutely, it should happen, and we have to be holding ourselves accountable, and others should be holding us accountable. But this illustrates how aggressive and adversarial, in some cases, the political press needs to be over the next 4 years. There need to be reporters digging into the Trump organization. There need to be reporters holding the White House accountable and fighting every act that he tries to take to limit press access. That needs to happen.
Has to happen.
I want to thank you both. I want to let viewers know what they're watching. Two big anti-Trump protests tonight in the cities of Baltimore and Portland. We've got, obviously, we've got eyes on that. There's also a protests in Milwaukee and Minneapolis as well. We will be bringing you footage of that throughout the night as the reaction to what happened, the seismic cataclysm that happened in this country. Historic, really, as everyone processes the reverberations of that throughout the country. Those are images of Denver at this moment. People taking the streets across the country, and that is just sort of the first few days. There's a lot more to come in every different direction. Jason Johnson and McCay Coppins, thank you very much. All right.